Hey there YouTube, AJ here. Quick project today, I think. We're going to start trying to fix a problem I've had for a while. Well, not a problem, but just something that's been aggravating me. So looking at the grill shell on my hot rod here and the radiator mount, it's still kind of floppy and held in place mostly by a piece of coat hanger. So I want to fix this so it's not banging around so much and working at my mounts. Now we have these Model A support rods that run up to the radiator to support it, but as you can see, one, they're not long enough to reach the tab, and two, this is just a piece of aluminum angle welded to the radiator, and I don't like the way that looks, and I don't like the idea of mounting to this and possibly creating a place to work this weld and harden it and break maybe. So what I want to do is create a bracket to kind of go over that tab and mount my support rods and also look like something that should be there versus this just piece of aluminum angle. I wanted to make it look more factory, kind of like this. So the first thing I did was just went and cowboyed it, and I took some rough measurements, took a piece of scrap, bent it up, kind of shaped it, and the idea was originally that I would just make this U channel that would go over this bracket, bolt to the tab from the bottom, and then the radius rods would come to the front. And then I just kind of, shaped this to give it a look. A couple things, didn't make it wide enough really. I could make this work, but after doing this, I didn't like it like that. I decided it actually looked better with the scallop kind of coming from the back of the side of the radiator and fading into it. And I like that. And I could make it work like it is, except for now it's just going to be held on with holes through here into the tab, and I'm back to working that weld there. I don't have anything attaching it in the bottom of the tab. So I went back to the drawing board and I came up with this. Now this time I just went straight to cardboard, made a template, and the idea is this time we're going to bend it up here, bend it, and then we'll bend a little edge over, and all these will be cut later, and then the scallop would go here. You'll be able to bolt to the bottom, bring our support rods in through the front. We got two places it's attached. Basically, instead of bending this back and forth, it kind of ties it straight into here. I don't know how much assistance that's going to give, but I think it'll do better. Anyway, after doing this out of cardboard, I got some measurements wrong, some measurements I didn't like, so I changed it. Then I laid it all out onto a piece of metal again, getting ready to cut it. I realized I screwed up, so wiped that away. And I'm laying it all out again on the other side of this, and hopefully we can cut this out now and start bending it, and hopefully it'll be the last time I have to do this. I don't want to have to go through this again. So let's see if we can make this idea work. Okay, I kind of screwed up because I folded this and had all my markings in here when I folded it, so it made it difficult to see all my cuts and stuff, so that's gonna make it a lot harder to get my lines smooth here, so I just roughed them out for now. I just wanted to rough fit it. So the idea is, once these pieces are curved in like this piece will get folded in and welded to that, and then ultimately it'll also get a relief going up like that. So just to see how it fits for now though, that is not too shabby. In fact, I like it. It is going to need just a little bit more roll on this one because it's touching. I want that rolled in just a little bit more. Yeah, but I think that'll work. So we can go ahead and start grinding this and refining the shape. I do need to bend this top flange here in a little bit more and smooth it out. We need to get our roundabouts in here. So I think what I'm going to go do is mark curves on that before I do it from the outside. Then we'll grind those in and try her again. Maybe start bending these tabs in. Okay, so we're starting to get there now. We're getting the general shape here. Still needs some fine tuning, but I think the next thing we need to do is weld up this edge here. I did abandon my plan to bring this one further out because I realized I'm going to need more space to get to the back sides of my nuts on this for the rods. So I think it'll be fine as it is. It'll have that little gap there. And then after I weld this, we'll radius this down this way too. That'll give me space to stick a finger in there and a wrench maybe to hold that. Do that on both sides. But yeah, I want to weld it first before we do that. But first let's test fit it real quick. Yeah, that's not looking too shabby, I think. Yeah, I might have to do just a little bit of clearancing back on this edge here. Just cut it a little thinner. I don't want it to touch the radiator at all. I don't want any steel on aluminum vibrating point on my tank. I want it to all be isolated to this bracket here. And I think that'll look pretty good. These will be coming in like that. So I guess the next thing to do is to bust out the welder and weld these edges here together and grind this down and start shaping, you know, trying to get the final shape out of it. And while we have the welder out, we might as well go ahead and lengthen these rods. And they're going to need to be, I'm going to say 3.5 inches longer. So I need to cut these and splice in a 3.5 inch long piece in here. All right, well, let's get to welding. Okay, we're mostly welded up. I did kind of drop this a little bit so it would match the top of the radiator because it rounds. So I dropped each of these sides a little bit and welded them together. When I first started, I had my settings too hot and I blew a hole here. I thought I had filled it, but when I was grinding it smooth again, some of it reappeared, so I'm gonna have to weld that back up. Not a big deal. I still have to extend these, so I'm gonna have to be cutting these and welding them. I think I want to put my extension at this end up towards the hood. I don't know why, but I think that'll be better. So I'm going to cut them up here, and I've got this that we're going to cut a 3.5 inch section out of here on each side, and we are going to then weld those in. Okay, well, we got the rods welded up, smoothed out a bit. They're going to need some finishing work, but I squirted them with some paint for now. Now let's move on to getting this piece where we can mount it. And basically, going to go in there. It's actually going to be attached two ways. I'm going to drill through the bottom of this bracket here and put in rib nuts, because they're going to be hidden, won't matter. And then on the front, the rods will go straight through here. So, need to mark and drill those. If we make it 3/16. Yeah, we're going to make it at 3/16 on both sides. Hopefully we're not going to need this much longer, so let's just go ahead and remove it. And welcome back to the perpetual lawn maintenance season. Alright, now I actually want this as close to the bottom as possible. I will be able to enlarge this hole if needed. This piece is 3/4 inch deep. Our thickness is about 1/8. So we're just going to set this one halfway back on these brackets here. Okay, try to mark this. Now we're going to come inside of these holes. 3/8 of an inch. Now let's see if we can drill some holes. Now hopefully we can drill these without punching a hole in the radiator. Also got an open engine here, that's not great. Get those bigger. First I gotta see what size hole I need for my nutsert. And I do want to angle these a little bit because the rods will be at an angle. Next thing is, can we get our nutsert tool up in there? We have our nutserts in here. Now the next thing we got to do is drill corresponding holes in this. Let's get a piece of tape. Well, it's time to clean the garage again because, well, I can't find anything. Can't find my masking tape that I was looking for. So I'm going to try to make do with this piece of duct tape. Come on. Poker holes. Now one thing we got to be aware of is we are on the outside of this bracket. right now. So that corresponds to the inside of this bracket. Might need to allow just a little bit for the thickness of the aluminum. About there. All right, let's see how well this will work. All right, so what I'm trying to do is line my center mark on the tape and get this line that I drew on the bend, outside bend here, kind of marked, all matched up. All right, I think that's it. Let's take this over to the vise to drill it. All right, well, here we go. Let's see how we did. Okay, it took me a while, but I found two mismatched 1/4 20 bolts. So, even if they fit, everything goes together, they're going to be temporary. Camera died while I was putting in the bottom bolts, but we did good. Hit them right on the money. There it's attached, feels good and solid. So now it's time to take the rods and see how well we did here. And oops, dropped the washer. That's great. And it appears we need to ream these holes out a bit. So let me get the drill. I'm going to start with just the 5/16 and hope that it's just a little bit of misalignment that's causing the problem, but we'll see. Let's try again. There we go. This one's going to be hard to get on there. Okay. That's too far back. Yeah, I think we're going to have just enough. This is going to be the hard part, getting that nut on there. Ah, nope. I need my skinnier, this one won't go in there. I need my skinny magnet. Hang on. Okay. Now, we'll take that back a little bit. See about sliding the nut in. Small enough to go in there and line that up. See if that'll get it. Okay, it started, so we're going to leave it just started for now. Proof of concept, I can do it. That's good. So what we're going to do for now, though, is go ahead and tighten this one down from the outside. And going to do the same thing over here. We got that one on real good. That one's easy to do. Oh, I forgot to put on the washer first. Oh well. All right. Now, got our rods in nice and tight, and I don't have the shell bolted on, so the radiator's good and solid now. We like that. Look at that. All right. Before we forget, let's put our protector thing back in there. So there we have it. I think I'll probably do a little bit more on this fitting and fiddling before I finalize it and paint it. But I got to paint the radiator too, because I want to paint the radiator black. And I think this will all blend in nicely once that's painted black. I think this looks better than having that just janky aluminum angle bracket sticking up there. I think in the long run, it's worth the time. If you look at it from the top angle, you got these nice scallops in there. I might do a little fit and finish here. This here needs to come back this way a little bit. That one needs to go in a little bit. That's just a little bit of hammer work. That won't be no big deal. And fits nicely around the neck. And this is what I like. Part of the reason why I did make it curved like that was so it would look like it was cut to fit around this on purpose, which it was, but I could have just made it a square bracket. But I think that looks better in the long run, having the curve across the top to match the radiator curve. All that kind of ties it all together to make it look like it's part that this radiator isn't like brand new, like it's more like a factory unit. Especially once I paint it all black, it'll all blend in nicely. I think this will look good. This section that I welded in was a slight bit bigger than these rods. I thought it was the same. I can see it's there. Most people probably won't, but I will probably work this down a little better before I paint it finally and make these a little smoother transitions, and or try to get this middle piece here to be about the same size. Honestly, that really doesn't even bother me though. This isn't a show rod, and if I have to show the fact that I had to extend those, fine, I don't care. I will try to make it a little better before I paint it, but I'm not going to go crazy on it. I don't think it's that bad personally. I mean, we are dealing with 100-year-old parts here, so. Okay, so that's going to do it for this video. Traveling a lot right now, so I don't really have time to get into bigger projects, so I was hoping to get out just a small little video on this. These little things got to get done too, right? So fitting them in when I can in travel. I think in the long term, it's worthwhile getting it done. And I'm pretty pleased with the way this turned out. I like that my radiator's no longer just flopping around, and I was always worried about breaking these tabs down here on the bottom. So having that nice and solid now, and getting that piece of wire that was on there and always flopping around and catching on my clothes and stuff, and catching on me and just getting in the way generally, getting that out of the way, that's a win. So overall, little project worthwhile, I think. Hopefully, maybe give you an idea how to make your aluminum radiator look a little better if you've got to use one. Yeah, that's about it though. I have started cutting some sheet metal pieces for the back as well, to start working on getting the rear tub strengthened up. I'm not gonna show all those cutting and all those pieces again. It's pretty much just what I did for the front. When I go to install them though, I'll show what I'm doing and the plan. I'm basically trying to make the rear section sturdy and strong again and brace it, and trying to make a space for a gas tank. So that's probably what we're going to be doing next. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you being here. So until next time, later YouTube. All right, just a quick update. I threw the heads and the intake and everything back on to just see how they fit with my carbs on there. And it looks super cool with the carbs poking up between the rods. I really like that look. And yes, I know my fan does not actually mount up here on the generator. It mounts down here on this pulley. So it's not gonna hit this stuff up here. So ignore that for now. I just got it stuck there because that was an easy place to stick it. And it kind of looks the part for the thumbnail. But anyway, the biggest problem I see so far is my fuel inlets on my carbs, especially this one, comes straight out into the rod. Should be able to get around that. Hopefully I can just put like an elbow directly in here, something. We'll figure that out. But that's the biggest problem I see so far. And the other thing I noticed is with my new cross member, I have less clearance here than I used to between the fuel pump and the cowl, so I might have to do something about that. But for now, yeah, everything looks good. I dig the look though. I really dig that, you know, the carbs poking up between the two support rods. And if you don't remember, the 26, 27 model T-Cows only had one of these in the center. And I actually got a second one and split them like that and filled the center holes so I could have this dual rod look, knowing that my carbs are going to be in the way of the center one. Plus, I just like the look of that V coming down to the front. That looks really good. So, okay.